Guys, hi. Today I'm going to introduce you to another lovely client of mine, and her name's Johanna Mountfort. She's a retired professional figure champion with multiple titles, and I'm going to actually read what we wrote about this because I don't want to discredit any of her championships. She's a multi-title figure champion with world and universe titles amongst them. And what I like is that it's not only her titles that she's gained on stage, but Jo's been a coach herself in the face-to-face realm and online for a total of 18 years. And she's actually helped many athletes competing, and they've placed consistently at a very high level to the point where she's won Trainer of the Year award multiple times. So she's actually helped an enormous amount of people. Now, when I met Jo, and I'll let her tell her own story in a moment, but when I met Jo, she had put a lot of consistent effort into putting content out online and clearly knew what she was doing in the realms of training people with their bodies, but hadn't figured out how to turn that content into any regular kind of income, and was still, at a fairly low wage for quite a long time and surviving. And what I'm constantly putting out in my message is that even though somebody might have a very large online following to do with anything to do with social media, you might have a lot of followers, you might even have sponsorship as a champion yourself, but it doesn't always equate to income. And what a really important message is that it doesn't always equate to income, but that income doesn't have to be exclusive of you being a nice person, because that's what this is here, guys. She's a really nice person. Jo, if I missed anything, can you tell us a little bit about yourself that I might have missed?
Oh, that's pretty perfect. I was pretty fortunate to have such a fantastic career as a figure athlete. I was a trainer first, and prior to that was actually a professional ballet dancer. So after I retired from dancing, I knew I wanted to get into the fitness industry. So, went through the motions, got the quals, did the apprenticeships, and became a PT. And absolutely loved that. It was my passion. And then along the way was getting more and more interested in physique development. But kind of that just became a bit of a random thing, especially when someone said, hey, you've got an amazing physique, you should compete. And I hadn't even thought about it before. So that's how I kind of got into it. And so I started competing myself at novice level, which was a fascinating journey in itself. And after some rather average placings, when people were telling me how good my physique was, but some of the placings weren't quite showing it, I realized that I needed to learn even more about the industry. So I swore that I would ensure that any clients that I was to put on stage would not go through some of the experiences that I had been through. So kind of had firsthand competed as a bit of a rookie, and the placings hadn't been as favorable as my physique probably should have placed, and it was just because I was doing rookie mistakes. So as I learned more and more, did more of my own research and trial and error on myself, I started to really develop my own systems, and then started to experiment with them on myself, but also on my clients. And then when my clients started to compete and win over and over again, we started to see that these systems were working. And then as myself, I was competing and started to just actually become unbeatable. So it was, totally exciting journey. And I moved very quickly from the novice ranks into the open ranks, and then started to receive national titles, and then moved into the international ranks, started to receive international titles, and then awarded my professional division card, and started to compete professionally. And within that whole time, still coaching and putting clients on stage. And I started to fine-tune my business down from being a PT-based business and fine-tuning it more and more into the bodybuilding industry, and making myself more and more specific to that, because that's what my passion was. Yeah, so that's the background, and then over time I moved from being based in a gym to then moving into being fully online because I wanted to be working from home. And as you can see, I have my studio here where I teach posing, and then I do all my online coaching with my clients, which I absolutely love. And these clients are women who already know how to train, but they need real structure, and they're really serious about developing their physiques to be something incredible. So that's what I do. And that's my background, and it works well for my family, it works well for me.
It's amazing. And I mean, everyone that's listening to this will be able to hear your passion. It actually exudes out of every cell of your body. And so guys, what you don't know as well is that I started to use Jo as my coach, and I'd never been accountable not only to a female before, but I'd never been accountable to an online coach. And I thought, oh well, I'm not sure if that'll work, but anyway, I'll give it a go. And that passion exactly exudes into you, and you actually feel like you're doing that when you're doing a program, etc. And she knows what she's talking about, and I'm very, very picky, being a tech practitioner and all that picky stuff that I come from. But can you tell us a little bit about why did you hire a business coach to look at the other side of your business and obviously generate a better income, because there was a kind of disconnect there in that so many experienced coaches aren't getting paid what they're worth. In other words, I like to say they're almost on an apprenticeship wage because they capitalise. And in your case, there was a disconnect in being able to capitalise with the content that you had put out, because she had put out a lot of content over those 18 years, but it wasn't necessarily turning into obviously money in the bank. So what was going on there? What was the rock bottom moment or any final decision of frustration before you thought, I've got to turn this around?
Well, I had lots and lots of clients. My problem was not finding clients. I had plenty of clients, but it was all pretty much, I was being paid, for my work with them only when I was pretty much working with them. So therefore, in order to increase my income, I was having to do more and more sort of one-to-one, online calls and more posing, coaching, and that sort of thing. So it was draining me. And then the thing about the bodybuilding industry is that there is competition season and then there's off season. So I can be very, very, very busy in competition season. And when it comes to off season, everyone goes into the off season mode. I still would have, a number of clients still training through their off season, but without all the posing coaching and without that kind of hype, the income would drop. And in New Zealand and Australia, the off season is around Christmas time, and so you're heading into Christmas and the holidays and that kind of thing, and income has pretty much halved, if not quartered. So that got really scary because I have a family, and I had seen it over and over again, year after year, do this roller coaster thing. And I was quite happy, and I was happy enough with the income I was earning during peak season, but I really wanted help to max it out even more and to maximize the time that I was putting into my business and the passion I was putting into my business, but to actually be able to be rewarded financially for it a little bit more. And so when Kate contacted me for coaching, and then I looked into who she was, and it just seemed like a match made in heaven, and I knew that I needed her as much as she maybe needed me. So that's how it came about, and it was just like we were brought together like that.
So it wasn't that you were really on the search for anything consciously. Did we kind of just bump into each other when I've sent you the email?
Yeah.
Oh, help.
It did. The email literally said "shit, help" with a bunch of exclamation marks. It got my attention straight away. I was like, "Who the hell is this?"
So Johanna, I stalked Johanna, and it was actually hard to find information on her because she's not on every channel that there is on social media. But she's the coach of one of my other business coaching clients that I've helped. So that's how I found Johanna. I didn't do a Google search because it's interesting, and it's always better when you go through somebody that's referred. So why did you choose me? Just because the people will be wondering.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. Well, I looked at all your stuff. I jumped on your website. I looked at your Instagram. I looked at some of the video content that you had out there. I looked at videos like this where you were speaking with your clients, and it was obvious that the results were there. But I also just loved the manner that you had and the level of care that you had, and I felt like that we were evenly matched there. I felt like you put as much care into your clients as I put into mine, and that felt right for me, because I needed to know that I was going to be working with someone who genuinely could get their head around my business, because it's not your typical fitness business, you know. And so I needed someone who was going to be able to mold, you know, their ideas and their content to my business. And it just felt like the right thing. But the second we started, obviously we did the consultation, you and me together, where you were, you know, learning about my coaching and how that was going to work for you. But then similarly, when we did it in reverse, you know, I was in awe, just as in awe, you know, and felt so much connection there. It was just like this huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders.
Yes, I remember.
I knew I had
yes,
backup.
It is a very different level of care, isn't it? And I don't think that it's exclusive. Obviously, I'm always banging on about the female thing. It's definitely not exclusive to females. I think it's just there's a lot of air and puff and smoke in the whole online world. It's very hard to tell until you meet people, obviously face to face. So you were really skeptical. We wouldn't say that you were skeptical, or were you skeptical about using an online coach in any way?
Not really. I had never invested in my business in that way. And I guess that my entire online career until that point was literally, I was just self-taught. I was just putting the passion out there, and I was getting the referrals, and I was bringing the leads were coming to me because it was literally word of mouth, and people just referring to me in that way. People were finding me on my website. They were finding me on social media. Where was I going with that? I've now lost my train of thought. I didn't have to look for clients, but I just needed to learn how to maximize and how to turn it around. And so meeting you, I just knew that I was going to be taught more about business, and by investing, that's what it was. That's where we're going. By investing in my business, I was going to be able to get so much more out of it. And I just really felt like it was time. I'd got it as far as I could by myself, but I knew I just needed that leg up to just get it that step further. And that is literally what we did.
Just a few legs up, and you've executed brilliantly, because there's obviously with execution there's breakdowns and breakthroughs, etc., which you've had a lot of, which have been amazing. So if we fast forward to today, because we're a couple of months out of working together now, and what I like to explain to people is that when you're investing in something, it should give you at least 10 times the value of what the investment is. And I know from surveying my own girls' incomes, it goes like this, as far as projection for the year afterwards. So sometimes during the course it does this, then it does that afterwards as well. So where are you now in relation to comparison to where you were before we started?
Well, it's interesting.
How's everything?
Say that again. How is everything?
How's life? How's everything, including income, including business, and just life in general? Because you've transformed yourself in a few different ways.
I did. Actually, one of the transformational things was occurred in some of our early one-to-one calls, when we really worked on mindset and letting go of some of the old ways of thinking that really holds you back and prevents you from being able to really transform really what you want out of your future and out of your business. So there was some old stuff there that I really had to learn to let go, that was surrounding my own perception of myself as in the transition from being an athlete, retiring, and then really moving into a space where I was happy with being solely focused on my business and my family. Because as an athlete, I had a lot of sponsors, and there was a lot of hype around me, which really brought a lot of stress. But it it's quite a self-indulgent place to be. So I had done this huge transition in the year before you and I met, where I had to unlearn the thinking of an athlete and then start to transform it into really thinking it even more about my own business. So some of the things that we put into place together, even just visualizing how much money I actually wanted to earn, what did I think I was worth? And I totally undersold myself. Like I remember saying to you, I couldn't even put a number on it. I was like, well, sometimes I earn this and that's quite good, but I don't know. I mean, do you think I really can earn, I don't know, maybe like 15 a month, 15 grand? I don't know. And you just straight away said, well, how does 20 sound? How does 25 sound? And I was like, I don't know if that's possible, is it? You were like, hell yes. Let's write it down now. And over time, I've been able to really start to embrace that. And I'm getting closer and closer to that every month now. And I'm not stopping once I'm there either. So you've given me the confidence to embrace the possibility that I can earn as much as I want to. And it's just about learning how to continually build and put different systems and tech in place so that, you can maximize the hours that you've got.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting that you mentioned the tech, because I'm all about people not even needing to do the tech because they change their message. And something that we did with you, because I do work with you guys on an individual basis, because there's not, hundreds of people doing the course at once like some courses, is that because you'd already gone and spread your message out everywhere and done it in so many different places, we really went backwards with you and really just put different call to actions on things, because you've already built rapport with your audience. And still without doing a paid ad, I might add as well. And so now you're not only influx with clients, but what have you noticed as far as the regularity of income?
One of the first things that you put in place for me was actually getting my clients to pay me weekly. They were paying me every 5 weeks whenever their new coaching and programming was due, and add-ons were happening with posing, coaching, and that sort of thing. But I was finding that my income was just massively fluctuated, and that some weeks I would have really good level of income and other weeks would be utter shit, and so there was no consistency there. So you encouraged me to put in place almost like a subscription where people were paying me per week instead of every 5 weeks. And so that has given me constant income, where I know I've always got this baseline of income that comes in every week, which is great for just being able to, just life, just, all your bills and that kind of thing, and just, knowing that there's that consistent income coming in. And then, but that's increasing all the time. And then all the extras are all, bonuses. And I still do have, I have all these different levels. I've got people on that level, and then I've got people who are still paying their 5 weekly up front. And then I've got also subscriptions happening, through other areas of my business, where I've got Facebook groups and things like that, where I've got people buying products off that who are not even my clients, which is incredible. So even just putting the Facebook groups in place and, getting confident with doing live feeds on those has been a huge turnaround, because I wasn't doing any live feeds or any live videos until I met you. I was just doing written content and photographs. So I had to really learn how to do that and be comfortable with it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you did, because I know when I look at people's videos, I think, oh, what did they do? I want to copy what they did. And guys, everyone's circumstances are totally different. Johanna already had some low-end products, etc., for sale. And now she's got a suite of products, people on subscription, and she's capitalized on the 18 years literally worth of content that she's put out there as a very experienced coach who had such a following on Instagram, for example, that she closed her account and started again. And then she's got a private account on Instagram. I'm like, what do you mean this person's got a private account on Instagram? I have to apply to follow her. Very unusual for a figure competitor, because she chooses who follows her. And that's way before you met me. But now she's been able to capitalize on all that, which is just brilliant. Yeah. And it's not capitalizing and ripping people off, because it's not different. She cares and capitalizes, and it's amazing. And it's been an absolute honor to work with you, especially such an experienced coach. It's made the job easy. Sure. Are there any final words that you might have, Jo? I know you've got to go for the client now.
Oh, thank you. Look, I just would love to say to you, Kate, that you've just opened my eyes in so many ways. God, in so many ways. And just the confidence that I now have in my business and the way that I'm now able to look at it is just completely different. It's just been a total turnaround. And I'm still learning, and often, I think about all the conversations that we've had and all the ideas that you've, inspired me to think about that I had never thought about before. And that's constantly churning. And I just, it's been completely mind-blowing what we've been able to do together. I'm just so happy that I took that plunge, and I just knew it was going to be win-win, and that investment just, has paid for itself over and over again. So, God, do it, girls. Just do it. It just reforms you on so many levels. Yeah, just.
Yes, your future's very, very exciting, isn't it?
It is. It is, and just the constant learning, the constant support has just been absolutely magnificent. So thank you so much.
That's all right. My absolute pleasure, and thank you as well. And I'll have to do a video for you too.
Oh, I love it.
If you've got any questions, feel free to write it below this video, and I'll have my contact details there. Not sure if Jo wants to be bombarded, but anyway, sorry, Jo, you might be bombarded.
Well, remember, we've got this new idea in the pipeline. If anyone if any PTs want to learn how to coach bodybuilders, we're going to be putting that out there at some point. So, I do want to approach that end of things. I love to coach on all levels. So if you're interested in that, hit us up.
See, there should always be a call to action at the end. It's very simple.
It's just a habit.
But it's often that you're learning it from somebody that is disconnected with what your message is as well, and that's sometimes the problem. But anyway, I'll let you go because I know you've got a client. Thank you so much for your time today, guys. If you've got any questions, please pop them below. I'll press end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Kate. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks, hon. Bye.